Well, right now I'm joined by a fellow who's just done a poll that has left me kind of speechless today. Jay Rosenzweig, the managing partner of Rosenzweig and Company, joins me. Hi, Jay.
Hi, how are you doing?
Well, I'm depressed.
Yeah, well, you know, it's tough. We have done this survey for the last 5 years, and we're going to continue doing it to put really a mirror to corporate Canada from an educational standpoint and from an informative standpoint.
Let's tell everyone what we're talking about here,
Sure.
Jay. We're talking about the advancement of women in top jobs, and that's what your survey is about. It's like, as you said, it's the 5th annual. So tell us a bit about the survey.
Sure. Basically, each and every year we determine the 100 publicly traded companies in Canada with the highest revenue per year. In other words, the biggest companies in Canada on the stock market. Then we go out and we find documents related to the top executive officers and their compensation. All of these companies really must name and publicly disclose the compensation of their CEO or the chief executive officer, chief financial officer, and the next 3 highest level compensation regimes for the executive officers. So this encompasses what we call the so-called C-level of corporations. And then basically what we do is we calculate how many women were included. So our first year was staggeringly low. We expected the numbers to be low, but they were 4.6%, which was a big surprise to us. And this year we're up to 6.9%.
Okay, you know what? There's something wrong about that. Like your first year was 2005.
Yeah.
And just that figure, 4.6. It shocks me.
It's just, it's incredible, particularly when you look at statistics, such as the fact that at that time, let's say, probably in the neighborhood of 45% of the workforce was female. This year, in fact, the workforce is over 50% female. Now, there are a number of issues that are unique to women that might cause the numbers to be a little bit lower compared to men, but 6.9% is, in our view, completely unacceptable.
Okay, what are some of these unique issues?
So a lot of the issues relate to what I would call no longer the blatant discrimination that women faced decades ago, but a lot of subtle biases. In other words, there's sort of barriers all around them. When your boss assumes you can't handle a large project because you have kids at home. There's the old boys network, which I believe is still alive and well, whereby it's easier to hire people one knows. It's easier to hire people who look like you or who act like you. So the more men at the top, the more it perpetuates more men.
Okay, so what you said off the top of our interview here, Jay, that you're hoping to hold the mirror up. Who's looking in the mirror? Who are you holding it up to?
Well, there are a lot of corporate initiatives right now from a public relations standpoint that are geared toward corporate and social responsibility. And that includes a lot of issues such as clean technology and sustainability and the rest. But diversity is something that's very important from a public relations standpoint. So now you have corporations with chief diversity officers, in fact, who need to follow these things. And when shareholders are investing in a company, and the public at large, from the average person in the middle class, right up to a lot of the individuals in the broader society roles, they want to know that these sorts of issues are being treated fairly. The other thing is it's a business issue because study after study has shown that the greater diversity at the top, the greater the shareholder value, and the greater the profitability.
Okay, so, but are you disheartened a bit because since 2005, so it's been 5 years, and
Correct.
The numbers have not, I mean, you've got the percentage there, but the actual numbers have not increased hardly at all.
Well, it's gone from 4.6 to around 7%. What we feel is that the social progress has never really taken a linear line upwards. So we feel somewhat optimistic in the sense that the numbers have gone up 50%. And even though the numbers are low, I feel that the more this issue is pushed and the more it's at the forefront of the corporate world, the better the results will be. This year we feel the recession somewhat has stalled the progress, but over the long haul, we're shooting for at least double digits, obviously, and we feel that that's feasible over the next 3 or so years.
Now, I think you speak briefly in your report about women in lower levels of management, and that seems to be increasing those numbers. Is that correct?
That's correct. With that, and with programs such as flexibility programs, which, by the way, are useful not only for women but for men as well, because men want to be home with their families more and more. The paradigm is changing quite a bit. So with these sorts of initiatives, with mentoring programs, and with new initiatives related to even trying to create an old girls network, if you will, we believe that eventually we'll be able to break through. Now, other studies have shown that one level below the top jobs that I have described, the phenomenon is still basically the same. And even in the broader 500 largest companies out there, the numbers are relatively similar. So we need to be able to break through at the mid-management to the early executive roles before we can see significant change achieved.
And I guess, the next question is, what can women do about this? And is there anything?
Well, I think that's a very valid point. One thing that can't be done is for people or women or diverse candidates to sit around and wait to be tapped for that promotion. You really need to make some noise. You need to be in the face of your superior and really try to make the case for why you should get that deserved promotion. Too often I find, anecdotally speaking, that there are a lot of individuals out there who aren't aggressive enough in trying to step up and go after that promotion. But at the end of the day, if you're banging your head against a wall that can't be penetrated, the other alternative is to try to move somewhere else where the corporate environment is probably more progressive.
Well, certainly an eye-opener this afternoon, Jay. I want to thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Jay Rosenzweig, Managing Partner of Rosenzweig and Company. The story, the advancement of women in the top jobs have stalled. Recession, a likely factor. It's the 5th annual ranking.